Aaron Fitt, managing editor, D1Baseball.com, joins us on the Adam Gold Show to help me sort through this. We do this twice a year. Actually, we really do it more. We'll do it again as we extend through the college baseball tournament. But, for various things, I got hockey going on. We got all sorts of other life issues, basketball. So college baseball kind of takes a back seat. So I'm just looking at your field projections, sir. 11 ACC teams you have right now in the field of 64, 13 from the SEC. Why do these two leagues need anybody else?
That's a great question. I'm glad you're dialing up the fit number here. I mean, out of the back seat. We're back in this thing, Adam. It's great to be with you again. It really feels like right now it's the SEC's world. It's how it's been for a while.
Yeah.
ACC is kind of clearly the number 2 league once again. Last year we had 4 ACC and 4 SEC teams in Omaha, and I could see something like that happening again. But it does feel like this year, just kind of a bigger picture view, there's not a lot of separation at the top of the ACC. It's a very jumbled, standings race really right down to the wire for the regular season title. And there are 5 teams separated by a game or something in the standings. And so it feels like we're kind of waiting for an elite team to emerge out of the ACC, a leading, title contender. I think we had several of those last year, North Carolina and Florida State in particular, Virginia and NC State too, by the end were very, very formidable. This year, I mean, who is it? I mean, everybody's got flaws. North Carolina, maybe they're the best team, but there's some question marks there. They're not as offensive as they were last year. Their bullpen is young,
right.
Talented but young. I mean, Florida State's bullpen has been an adventure, but they got other stuff going for them. So I don't feel like there's that really, really strong leading contender to win it all like you have at the top of the SEC.
Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com is joining us here. ACC tournament starts tomorrow. Crack of dawn. So explain to me this. I remember the debate that the ACC's coaches had a long time ago about, we don't want to show up for just one game. If we're not guaranteed 2 games, doesn't make sense, blah, blah, blah. Now, 16 teams, single elimination, which I'm not against. I mean, it's a tournament. Tournament play. What are the coaches saying about that?
It's a great question because I don't know. I mean, obviously they voted to put it in. I mean, I guess they're in favor of it, but you had to do something different with this 16-team super conference now, and the Big 12 and the SEC are doing the same thing. But I mean, just speaking for myself, I'm intrigued. I think it's going to be good for drama. Every game, quote unquote, matters. We don't have any of those dead games that we used to have in pool play. But also, is it really a more fan-friendly experience here? I mean, 4 games a day is a lot.
Yes.
I mean, weather happens, long baseball games happen. You're never going to stay on schedule with 4 games in one day, and so you're going to have some teams playing late. You're going to have teams that these fan bases don't know how long their team's going to be there. Whereas it's easy to kind of plan your trip as a fan from out of town if you know ahead of time. Hey, we've got these 3 games guaranteed in pool play. Now it's like if I'm Cal or Stanford or Boston College or Pitt, the lower seeds in this tournament, it's not really worth even coming, is it? You might go one and done on Tuesday and you're out, and then what? You just get a week in Durham, which, hey, I love Durham. I live here, but it's probably not the number 1 vacation destination on their list.
Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Before we get into the seating and all of that, do you think there was any discussion of 4 groups of 3, 4 groups of 4, 3, let's say 7-inning games of group play, and then semis and finals at the end? At least if you take a couple of innings off of each game, it isn't as daunting and taxing on your bullpen. Think any thought was given to that?
God, you had me at 7-inning games. I'm all in on 7-inning games. I don't think the coaches are with me on that, Adam. I don't think there was any talk of that, but they should. I mean, there's Butch.
It's
Butch
just
Thompson,
a tournament.
Yeah, well, I mean, Butch Thompson at Auburn, he's one of the more interesting thinkers in our game as a head coach. He's been talking for years about how he thinks we should just play 7 innings or maybe 8 innings. Just shorten the game would be better for the product. And I think he's right, but I just coaches are stubborn. Baseball is full of old, old time thinkers, and I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But at least for the tournament, I mean, when you're trying to cram all these games in, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, they play test cricket. They have 20 overs. You don't have to know what I'm talking about here, but for people who are familiar with cricket, who the matches normally take like 4 days, we get it over in a day. For the World Cup, it's only the biggest event in the entire sport, and we shorten the matches simply for World Cup. All right, now let me get to the top of the bracket. Georgia Tech's the 1 seed, NC State is the 4, Florida State the 2, North Carolina the 3. Handicap the top of this for me.
Well, Georgia Tech kind of backdoored the regular season championship, it felt like. I mean, one of the softest schedules. Of course, you've got a 16-team league. It's a very unbalanced schedule.
Right.
And Georgia Tech, they really only won 2 series against regional teams, Louisville, and then the last week at Duke. Other than that, they kind of got fat against some of the softer part of the league. And so that's why they weren't even ranked in our top 25 heading to this final weekend. And then they won the league. And it's like, well, I guess we got to rank them. But like, it's the last go round for Danny Hall. That's
right.
Kind of one of the maybe the biggest storyline of the week. Like, this is his last season. Guy's been the head coach at Georgia Tech since, I think 1994. His first season, they went to Omaha and almost won it all with Nomar and Veritek and Jay Payton. So yeah, he's had a hell of a run, and I think he's kind of a sentimental favorite. Their team is it's a typical Georgia Tech team insofar as they're offensive, but they're maybe better on the mound than your typical Georgia Tech team, but not deep. They're still not elite on the mound. It's just that has typically been their weakness in years past, is they don't pitch very well. I think they pitch a little better this year, but the depth is a question. North Carolina's probably the best pitching team of this bunch. I think great rotation, best pitcher in the league with Jake Knapp, and again we talked about the bullpen. They've got 3 freshmen they're really leaning hard on. Great arms that have great futures, but you always wonder how freshmen are going to do once you get into the pressure of the postseason, and you've got kind of the workload fatigue factor. So that's something to keep an eye on with North Carolina this time of year. But their offense has gradually gotten better. They're less offensive than they were last year, but it's gotten better. North Carolina State, feels to me built pretty similarly, Adam. I mean, it's a pitching first team, strong rotation. 3 guys I think have started all 3 games all year, on the weekends, which is rare.
It never happens for Elliott Avent either.
Yeah, I know. You're right. It's and so that stands out. And you got a couple of real weapons in the bullpen with Jacob Duden and Anderson Nance. And so I feel like the pitching is their biggest strength, much like North Carolina. They're not as offensive as last year, much like North Carolina, but also their offense has gotten better, in the second half, also like North Carolina. So I feel like those 2 teams are almost mirror images. And then Florida State is just, again, you got a really good rotation, 3 lefties that all have good stuff. Jamie Arnold might be one of the top picks in the draft at the top of the rotation, and it's just their bullpen is a little scary, but they can score runs once again. Again, not as offensive as last year. None of these teams are as offensive as last year. I mean, it's okay. I don't think any team in the ACC hit 100 home runs this year or something, and you got like 4 or 5 in the SEC that did. There's just a little bit less firepower across the league than there was a year ago.
Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com, is joining us here in the Adam Gold Show. Let me get to the Duke Blue Devils, who I know started the season like in the top 15. They're not ranked now. As a 7 seed, are they dangerous? And I saw that in your projections, you have them as a 2 seed in the Auburn Regional. And is it my imagination, or is Duke more dangerous when they're not hosting regionals than when they are on the road?
Well, we don't really know yet because they haven't hosted a regional, which I feel like last year they deserved to host.
There you go.
They got snubbed. But yeah, I mean, they've actually had a pretty solid year. I mean, they're 17-13 in the league, and it's probably not going to host. Their RPI is a little too low, but once again, it's just they always get better down the stretch under Chris Pollard. It seems like every year they make a run in the second half. They kind of find the right combinations on the mound, and sometimes it can be a little unorthodox. I mean, they wound up moving Owen Probst, their kind of 3-year bullpen guy, into the Friday starter spot this year, and that worked out pretty well for him. And you got this Reed Easterly, who's a lefty that they got from Yale in the portal. He's kind of filled the role that Charlie Bielenson had last year, just a guy who pitches every day and can be extended, and he's just a everyday Eddie guy that is kind of the key to that whole staff, really. And, again, their offense has kind of found it. I mean, after a slow start, A.J. Gracia was a preseason All-American, just a really, really brutal first half. And he's come on. He's really come on in the second half, and that's been big for them. So, again, it's a team that has some nice older players. They do a good job in the portal with their Ivy League guys. Ben Miller is still there raking, Ivy League transfer they brought in last year. So there's a lot to like about their team, and it kind of does feel like they're lying in the weeds here.
All right, final thing for Aaron Fitt, because motivation for these types of events varies from, team to team. I don't know how it changes now that they're out of group play, so everybody's just not just playing 2 games. If I was going to ask you, who do you think is motivated to win? Who can just show up, play a game or 2 and go home and be happy with it? What would you say?
It's interesting because this year, more than most years, there's not a lot of teams that I feel like are totally locked in to what they want. Like sometimes, like Wake Forest a couple years ago, they were the slam dunk #1 national seed. They didn't really have anything to play for.
Right.
At various times, it feels like usually you got like a locked in top 8 seed. And this year, I don't think we do. I mean, North Carolina and Florida State are kind of in contention for top 8s. They both kind of need to win at least a game here. I mean, Florida's Clemson, NC State, Georgia Tech. These teams are all trying to get into hosting position and strengthen their hosting position. Right now, we just moved Georgia Tech and Clemson into hosts in our latest projection last night, but last week they weren't. So they were kind of right on the edge. NC State, same thing. Like they had been a host, they've fallen back. They need to make a real run if they want to get back into the hosting mix, just because their RPI is lower. And then you got kind of your Virginias, your Miamis, and Notre Dame are teams that really need to win here to strengthen their at-large cases. And, Virginia's finished pretty well, but they're still 55 in the RPI, so it's a good league record, but it's a preseason #2 team in the country that I picked to win it all heading into the year. And they're on the bubble. You got to win a few games here and just to strengthen your position. And Notre Dame has come on strong after a brutal first half. They won like the last 4 series or something. Their RPI is better. They're 14-16. If they can go win a game or 2 here, they could surprisingly make a regional, which people didn't really see coming. I didn't see coming. So those are some storylines to watch here. I hope that answers your question, Adam.
No, it does. Notre Dame, by the way, if they beat Boston College, would play Virginia. So in some ways, that could end up being an elimination game of sorts. But I'm fascinated to see what the single elimination tournament does. And I'm looking forward to talking with you on a more regular basis now that we're at the business end of the college baseball season. Aaron Fitt, D1Baseball.com. It's the letter D, the number 1, baseball.com. Sir, appreciate your time always.
Pleasure, Alex. Talk to you soon.
You got it.